If our habits remain unchanged, we will need more than one additional Earth to sustain our present production and consumption level, and to hold the accumulation of waste that we have nowhere else to dump. Earth Embassy is designing and constructing for a sustainable future. Focus is put on an affordable symbiosis between agriculture, housing, and energy to create a self-supporting sustainable community. We made this journey to learn how the organization of a social entrepreneurship can look like, which attributes within the organization creates values to different stakeholders and to the society. What we saw was a holistic approach towards sustainability, passion, and a great vision. A concept of integrating housing and agriculture with adaptable module buildings and creating self-sufficiency is all leading in new ways of thinking. These aspects, we believe, can solve many social and environmental problems all over the world. This study focuses on social entrepreneurship, quality, organization, leadership and financing. Data was collected from the website of Earth Embassy during a study trip and through interviews with people connected with the organization. We used cameras and took notes of our observations. The data was organized in a database, and selected parts resulted in this film. Values, attributes, stakeholders, and literature connections are highlighted by text. We start by looking at how the idea developed. Jacob, why did you start the organization?
Again, sustainability and organics was not really a thing in Japan. So I just started on my own, and I was too frustrated waiting around and talking to companies and trying to convince them to do it. So I just started by myself, and pretty quickly I opened it up to volunteers and a lot of foreigners. There's a lot of interest in sustainability and organic farming, so we had a lot of interns and volunteers coming to help.
Is there a greater purpose behind the idea?
I mean, the aim is sustainable community.
Sustainable
right?
community.
So people and resilient community. The target group is everybody. The money is secondary. It's just about doing the best thing for the planet. More than chasing money or the economy of the project, I'm kind of devoted to the natural, the environmental things that I'm pushing. I'm going to be very focused on that. So.
The organization of Earth Embassy has a complex structure, consisting of different parts within, partly within, or economically contributing. Jacob explains.
Well, that's why I keep Earth Embassy as a design group, because there's different projects. Some projects we're hired to do a design and set up management for somebody else. Mm-hmm. Some of the things we own ourselves. With as an entrepreneur, there's every project has a different structure.
Traditional homes is about restoring older buildings. Earth Embassy has some partners with whom they work with in different projects where the focus is put on incorporating sustainability into the society. This part of the organization works as financial income to Earth Embassy. Solar Cafe and Farm was a startup of Earth Embassy and consists of these businesses. One of them is organic farming. The organic farming is appealing to many of the stakeholders. Robert highlights some attributes for volunteers. Fuji Eco Park is partly within Earth Embassy and gives the organization an opportunity to spread their vision to a larger group of visitors. Eat and Grow Home is the project where agriculture, housing and energy is all incorporated into one easy deliverable structure.
So the basic concept that we're starting here with is a 40-foot shipping container that contains the living space. So we have the water, electricity, power inside the container, and then a hybrid kind of living area, and then the greenhouse here. So the concept is that you can grow your own food year-round in the greenhouse and have the power. So you have solar and hot water on the greenhouse here, and that will power the living systems for the plants. And then vice versa, from the greenhouse in the winter when it gets cold, we get the hot air from here, We use that hot air during the day to heat the inside of the container.
How does an organization with such a wide variety of businesses look like? What is important for the function?
We just really support network, and that makes it easy for people to get involved and to work with us long term. So that's really what it's been about for me, is growing up different parts of the business and to let them become independent. The cafe and the farm, pretty much they run themselves now.
And what we're trying to do with teaching agriculture, for me, we have the concept and I have the vision and we have the projects and the plans, but we don't have the connection to the funding and so that's his strength, is to be able to bring together the people, the funding, there's a lot of government money available now for agriculture in Japan. They need to do something for agriculture to survive. You know, the average farmer age is very high and there's nobody to take over. So there's a lot of government available, but the government just sets a plan and a target, but they don't have anybody to do it. I think that's very much Earth Embassy concept as well, but the first stage he's saying is he's just educating and throwing out the idea. The things now that we're pushing, sustainable, aspects that we're pushing will just kind of be incorporated into everyday life and everyday, business practices over time, make Japan more sustainable. And so that's why we kind of get along and are able to share ideas. But just proximity, because I'm close.
All right, okay.
To hear that we're able to work together. That was the main point.
ですから課題を共有できる。
Yeah, so it's we can meet regularly and we know the same area together. So being local,
What we really try to do is to be a hub. So we want to support those local businesses, and more than running our own business, we want to connect local businesses with people who might be interested. So it's a lot about outreach and networking. And you can have a great product, but if you're not connected with the people who need it or the people who can support you, it doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, communication and networking is really important.
And how does Jacob's leadership look like? What is important?
I'll still rely on his experience and his knowledge, but since I'm younger, I have a bit more updated teaching through the university. I mean, we don't always agree on how to do things, but we work it out.
He communicates people, so that people understand what he's saying, and he's pretty patient. He's so good, like in another way of introducing people to another people.
He always understands staff's feeling. So yeah, I think he's a good leader.
People only do really well at what they like doing. So I see people and I give them some guidance after I get to know them and see what they're best at and what works for the company, but then I give them as much freedom within that as possible. And yeah, it's nice. It takes the pressure off me and it's more enjoyable for them, and we get a better product in the end by allowing people to really do what they're best at.
And how is Earth Embassy financed?
Real estate and development and building, architectural design is our main income source, just because that's a larger business. The cafe business and the farm business, they're very small in scale with this farm. So it doesn't make a lot of money for us. It kind of it feeds us. I mean, I have a place, I have a great lunch. For me, I get most of my return of this in free pizza.
The money from the guest house, Airbnb party and event.
The farm and the cafe kind of support themselves. It's enough to, for me, ideally, if it's just, if it makes enough money to pay the staff and pay the bills, to bring people, and we use it as an office for meetings and talking to people.
Talking to people, that's what he said. Talk to people, tell them what you're doing, when they got interest in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's really helping the community and educates people, other people. People will get interested and, give you a hand.
Earth Embassy has also partly been financed through crowdfunding, which means receiving private donations. So what makes Earth Embassy successful? What can be learned? According to Bergman and Klevsjö, the development of dedicated leadership provides the base on which a culture of offensive quality development rests. To enforce a safe and proud feeling to the workers enhance their self-esteem and confidence. Successful development towards quality is also necessary when creating prerequisites for participation, which in turn creates dedication and contributes to better product. If we base cooperation with trust, it is possible to create relationships and do business that all partners gain on. To create networks where companies or organizations cooperate is also a result of increased system thinking, and system thinking is about having knowledge of your system. It creates knowledge of variations which is needed to understand the surroundings, why and how it acts and reacts in different ways. Jacob understands his surroundings and knows that cooperation is needed to reach his vision of a sustainable and resilient community, a community in which we all fit in. Therefore, his organization is based on relationships and customized development to show the customers, stakeholders, by not letting their interest lead the way, but the interest of humanity, that we all have one mutual aim, to change the world.